Hey everyone, it's Rochelle with Losing It on Keto, and in this video, I have a progress report for you through 19 weeks. Today's April 10th, 2023, and I hadn't anticipated doing this, but given the results I had, I thought I would go ahead and do a more traditional progress video as I've done in the past. In the prior one, I said I was going to wait until a week from now, but I've got some results that I wanted to share, so I decided to go ahead and do this video like I have done in past progress videos. So let's get through it. So first of all, I am absolutely thrilled, and I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper, but I've lost 0.3 of a pound. Since some of the prior behaviors that I'm going to take you through. So I had shared with you I had a very high caloric week, the week that I got my RMR tested, because I made a priority to improve my metabolism immediately, and wasn't so worried about losing weight. I wanted to correct the metabolism first, so I took some actions to do that. So I'm going to take you through that in more detail, but I'm surprised given what I've done that I've actually had a net loss. So 0.3 of a pound may not sound like a lot, but I'm actually thrilled with that given what I've been doing, and I'm going to go through that in a little bit more detail. But for now, I just want to share with you the same sort of metrics I've provided in the past. So overall, that means a 56.6 pound loss, and given how I've been doing, that results in a monthly average loss of 11.3. And in this 5th month, I only have the 0.3 of a pound loss. So that's through 3 of the 4 weeks of month 5. But there's a reason for that. Like I said, I took action as a result of that resting metabolic rate test showing that I had a decrease in my metabolism. So let's go through this data a little bit further. So week 19, you can see what the day by day is. So I did pretty strict protein sparing modified fast the first 4 days. And the reason why I did that is I want to come back down here and show I had a huge caloric intake in week 18, because this is the week, the 27th, of when I had my RMR tested and it showed it was damaged, that I covered in last week's video. So my reaction was, and I was already feeling like a restriction and whatever, so I just went ahead and consumed and didn't weigh or measure anything, and I came in and put in the data after the fact. So I was not tracking this week. I did this afterwards. So anyways, this was a huge caloric intake compared to what I had been doing previous, as you can see. And so as a result, I did very strict PSMF days. So this was lean poultry. And then the egg white bread. So this was very, very lean. And then on day 5, it was a keto day, but it was a keto day that I didn't track. I just ate instinctively. So this high amount of protein and fat actually stemmed from me making a staple of when I did BBB and E, where I lost 8.5 pounds of not weighing or measuring anything. So I primarily ate on this day carnivore waffles, which I have a recipe video for, which are the ground beef with the eggs, and I topped it with some butter. So I had 3 of those, and I believe I had a turkey sandwich. So all in all, this is how it came out. And once again, I recorded this after the fact, but I ate instinctively. And then the next 2 days, it was golf season, so I was pretty active. Golfed both days, and once again, I wasn't really tracking. for the last meal of the day, I just ate instinctively. And so I had chicken breasts for dinner on both days, but then I also had my protein sparing modified fast ice cream for both of these days. So it boosted up my protein. And the fat was, you know, somewhere around where it had been, around the 30 grams. Versus when I switched to precision protein sparing modified fast, where, you know, this was an incredibly low week here. But for the most part, it's around 30, whether I'm doing the ideal protein style or the precision. So that was kind of how the week progressed. So certainly, as you can see down here, in terms of the average for the week, and you look at other weeks, you know, the calories were a bit higher than my normal PSMF weeks, but certainly dramatically lower than my big caloric one the week prior. And then you can see, you know, a higher protein average. And then fat right around average-wise of where it was in prior weeks, and then still very low carb. Okay, and then still the protein percentage in the 60s, around where it is with precision, and same thing with the fat percentage, and then same with the carb percentage for the precision. So this is what led me to the loss, but I want to delve a little deeper into that. So one of the other things I did was I was taking my glucose and ketone readings. So this here is the week after that big high caloric day. So this was actually day 2 of this past week. And so I wanted to see, did I knock myself out of ketosis? What did I do with my blood glucose? So you can see what the readings are day by day. And I'm continuing to see something that says these 0.1s, this was the 3rd day of very, very, very strict PSMF, where I was only doing between 500 and 600 calories of just lean chicken. So I don't have an explanation for these low ketones other than to say I don't have any excess on these days, but I didn't consume anything to knock me out of ketosis. So this just confirms for me a very loose correlation between ketone readings and fat loss. So that's the only conclusion I have here. The only thing that I want to keep an eye on is at 11:30 at night. So this is numerous hours after dinner. And this was the first time in a while that I had consumed the PSMF ice cream. And that at 11:30 at night, so I think I had that at like 8 o'clock. So this is saying 3.5 hours later, my glucose is showing 99. And I got the same result after having that for dinner last evening. And this is about 90 minutes after. So this is something I wanna check, that if that PSMF is causing my blood sugar to go higher. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. But that's really the only thing that I see here that I want to track on. I say the ketones, there's a loose correlation with the fat loss and whether I'm actually in ketosis and such. Because this data doesn't make sense when I correlate it to what I had consumed. So like I said, to be 0.1 on my 3rd day of very strict PSMF, and for that to be lower than coming off the higher calorie days where I would think I'm getting back into ketosis on these days, I don't get that. These make sense to me, the higher ketone reading. So I don't know. So like I said, my only conclusion here is I think there's a very loose ketone correlation. Okay, so anyways, let's keep going. The big headline that I wanted to share with you is the fact that after 4 days of PSMF, I was back to the weight that I was prior to that very high caloric week. So that was an absolute thrill for me to see that I consumed almost 4,000 calories a day. And after 4 days of PSMF, to be at the weight that I was before that high calorie week. So like I said, that's thrilling. And when I calculated, say, well, what would I have expected just based on using my RMR, my resting metabolic rate? So my RMR on the March 27th said that when I factored in the activity and such, my metabolism is 1,600. So so I use this figure times 7 days. That says that 11,200 calories is what I burn in a week, theoretically. And then what I ate for those 7 days was this many calories, you know, just north of 26,500, or a daily average of 3,800 compared to a daily average of 1,600. So when you calculate this and I take the delta of the 26 less the 11, you get 15,347. And if they say in excess of 3,500 calories equates to 1 pound, theoretically it says I should have gained 4.4 pounds from this amount of calorie consumption based on my metabolism. And then any fluid that got stored as a result of, say, knocking myself out of ketosis. And this is the reason why I didn't want to weigh. I didn't want to do those mental gymnastics on myself. I didn't want that mental anguish to see, oh, the scale went up 5, 6, 7 pounds, because I just knew I didn't gain that kind of weight or kind of fat in spite of what this says. So I put it to the test. So after 4 days of PSMF, I did weigh myself, and I was at the same weight as before this week. So what this is telling me is, so kind of what's the so what here? I think when we're in ketosis, and we know this from Dr. Ben Bikman, our bodies are very inefficient when we're burning fat for energy as compared to burning glucose. So I don't think the RMR result is as applicable when we're following a keto diet than if we were following a glucose burning one. And the reason I say that is because, picking up on what Dr. Bikman has said, he says we're inefficient when we burn fat. And that's a good thing when we're doing this. What that means is it takes more energy to burn the fat. So I'm burning more than 11,200 calories. So even though that's what it says based on my RMR and activity level. So I'm seeing that, you know, be borne out in this data analysis. Because if that wasn't the case, there's no way in 4 days of PSMF, if you do the math, there's no way I could have lost 4.4 pounds in fat. So I'm pretty thrilled with this, because this says to me, I'm going to put less emphasis on my RMR. It's good to have it tested, but I'm not going to stop doing PSMF because it's showing an effect on my metabolism. I'm going to do it kind of how I did it this week, which is I had a couple more days of higher protein, etc., and that seemed to work out pretty well. So I think my instinctive adjustments are working for me. I hope this is making sense. So let's keep going. So as a result of all this, I'm thinking of doing a hybrid of IdealProtein style PSMF and precision PSMF. And all I mean by this is I'm still going to do a carnivore PSMF, but I think I'm going to include some protein powders. So I had the PSMF ice cream the last 2 evenings, and I had a net loss for the week. So I like to include some protein powders. It gives me some additional recipe ideas and such. So I think I'm going to go ahead and incorporate them a bit. I'm not going to do it as much as IdealProtein does, where it's three of 4 meals are protein powder based. But I'm not going to be afraid to use some of my protein powders in my recipes and such. And then it goes without saying that after I've taken you through everything here, that I'm thrilled with the fact that my weight got down in just 4 days after, consuming 3,800 calories a day. So this says to me a couple things that, this sets me up beautifully for maintenance. It's showing the benefits of being in fat burning versus glucose burning. And it's kind of de-emphasizing for me what that RMR result is. So I'm just thrilled. And then I'm further thrilled by the fact that I've had a net loss for this week, given that I did fewer PSMF days, because before I was doing 5 days a week when I was doing precision. So I just did 4, and I did higher calories on the clean keto days. So I'm just thrilled. And so just to look at that, when I say look at this in day 5 of a clean keto day, look at how many calories I consumed and how much protein and how much fat. And then on my other keto days, cleaner keto days, where I decided, because I had such a high calorie one here, I decided to go with lean chicken breast. So to have a net loss from that, when you factor in that I'm coming off a 3,800 calorie average per day week, and then my average being this here in the bounce back and showing a net loss, I'm just very, very happy. And to show a net loss when this overall is considerably higher protein than what I was consuming when I was doing the IdealProtein style. And so if I had really damaged my metabolism like the data seemed to show, I wouldn't have expected to see these numbers that I'm taking you through. I should have, based on my RMR results, I should have expected to see a net gain over these 2 weeks, and I didn't. So I am thrilled with the way this is going. So I think I'm going to have weeks now from this point forward that are going to resemble this past week. We'll see. We'll see as I go. So I'm scheduled for my next RMR test 2 weeks from now. So I'm halfway through. And so these are what the 2 weeks of calorie consumption look like for setting up my next test. So we're going to see how sensitive it is. So if the cause of that reading was low calorie, well, then the fact that I've consumed higher, I should expect to see an increase in my RMR. But the bottom line is I'm not going to put too much emphasis on that, because when I'm applying that, the weight does not indicate that RMR reading, because like I said, then it should have shown that I had a weight gain as a result of what I consumed these last 2 weeks, and that wasn't the case. So I think this is the inefficiency of calories consumption burning when doing a fat burning way of eating. So I think I'm actually burning more than what the RMR result is showing, given that I'm following a ketogenic diet. That's the bottom line, and that's consistent with Dr. Ben Bickman's analysis. But I've never done analysis like this before, so I think this is pretty helpful to see, and I'm hoping you get something out of this, which is following a fat burning way of eating makes more allowances in terms of your weight. That it's not strictly these these macro calculators that they'll tell you, oh, consume this amount and your RMR is this, so you create this as a deficit and this is what you expect to lose. I mean, if your conclusion isn't from this, I'm blowing that theory up. Then I'm not doing a very good job explaining this, because I'm proving that just doesn't apply here. Otherwise, my actual results wouldn't make sense. So my cautionary note is be careful when you're trying to apply macro calculators and following a ketogenic diet and say, this is what I'm going to lose. You're going to lose more than that because you're inefficient. Your body's inefficient and burning. So I hope that made sense. I hope this was helpful. I think, like I said, this upcoming week is going to be more of the same in terms of what a day's calories are going to look like. I'm hoping to lose more this week. I will say that. Because I feel like this high calorie week is now behind me. And so, you know, maybe I will do 5 PSMF days this week, but have 2 days that look like April 7th, like day 5 on the subsequent 2 days. We'll see. I'm planning to eat instinctively on those clean keto days. And so that's it for me. I'm really happy with where I'm at this journey and in my weight loss. And you know what? Even if I maintained my weight for, you know, a number of weeks or a couple of months, I'd be okay with that. And then make the final push for the last 30 pounds. I'm really happy with where I'm at and how I'm feeling. But I do want to lose that last 30 pounds. But I'm telling you, getting off near 60 pounds has made a tremendous difference. And I can get off this last 30 a little more slowly, a little in a healthy way. And so we'll see. I don't have a set plan right now in terms of I'm going to consume this many calories, this amount of fat. So I'm going to relax the reins a little bit like I did this past week. And I'm going to see if I can get a weight loss result just like I did this week. But given I'm off this high calorie week, I'll be one further week out from that. I'm going to expect to see a higher fat loss than 0.3 of a pound. So we'll see. Stay tuned for that. We'll see how I do this week. And so that's all I've got for you now. I've got a couple more recipe videos coming out this week, so be on lookout for them. I'm really excited about a recipe that I made this week for chocolate, or this past week that I'm going to post this week for chocolate cookies. I could not be happier with how that turned out. So be on the lookout for that and some other upcoming recipes. And then, of course, next week's progress report to see if I do, in fact, achieve a greater fat loss. Okay? So be on the lookout for those. And as always, thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.